and welcome to this small country in North Africa. 700 by 500 miles and sandwiched between Algeria and Libya, with Egypt and Nasser not very far away. You've joined me at Sfax, just 250 miles from the north of Tunis. This is the General Post Office, and dominated by President Bourguiba, the Arab president who for the last few years has held high office and looked upon as being the president of a new Tunisia. Of many wars that have gone through this part of the world, this rather futuristic memorial has been placed in the center of Sfax. Here the Western Quarter, dignified and modern. And there the Arab Quarter, or Souk, behind a high wall. A labyrinth of passages. And here La Régence, the memories of France, with now the Arab inscription above. All is changing from French to Arabic, although the French have still retained their typical traditional boulevards. From Sfax we travelled by this louage, a taxi, and very reasonable in price. 6 of you would team up and you'd be away. Right, and we are now leaving Sfax, going north to Sousse. The right-hand side of the road, as you'll see there, is for the horses, or in this case, dromedaries. Since President Bourguiba came into power, he certainly improved the roads, which were just cart tracks. And now these fine roads, straight as a die, take you from any major town, and the surfaces are pretty reasonable. Here we were just doing a cool 80 miles an hour, arriving at Djem, and to see one of the largest Coliseums in the world. Next to the one in Rome, it is. Here I and my colleague Ian Lindsay from Malta together discovered Djem and found it very fascinating, although at times rather cruel, thinking back to the days of the Romans when they used to bring the slaves 4 miles away by tunnel, and here they were to perform their last rites with them. And it was here that we met our only English tourist, a lady from Wales. Here the slaves were brought from that tunnel. An excitable Sousse we'd arrived just as the Tour de Tunisia was off. This, like in their counterparts in France, is a very popular bicycle race, held annually and with many nations attending. Of course, the excitement of the crowd is intense. The language now is almost bilingual, but quite a number, and I found even the police didn't sometimes speak French. Spare bicycles are carried this fashion. A much more leisurely trip is by Fiac, although rather smelly. And by Fiac, from Sousse to Kairouan, a typical Arab village, where time has little changed. Contrary to the belief, a very hearty and bad-tempered animal. This is a dromedary, with just the one hump. It was a caravan we'd found, which was just going en route down to the Sahara Desert. Well, at least I've achieved a lifetime want. This woman wears across her face a yashmak, and with their religion, a man can own at the moment as many as 5 wives, although the president is trying to reduce the number to the more normal one. Off one of the small side streets, the woman here was making one of the famous Kairouan carpets, which are sold and are very famous all over the world. In this case, the sequence speeded up to get the necessary light for filming. She works to no plan, just her memory. And here, in this small little courtyard, with this rather Pickwickian character, the flax is dried and washed. Not far away is the mosque, where shoes are taken off before entering. For refreshment, at a small cafe, you can have the hubbly-bubbly pipes, where a number of you can suck from the same pipe. The water at the bottom is bubbled through for the incense coming out at the top, and here you become oblivious to the world around you. Not far from Kairouan was Monastery, and here an Arab graveyard. It was just at that small church that when we entered, the family were conducting a circumcision ceremony on one of the newly born children. remind us possibly of the war in Often days. But it was only 6 months previous that this fort had been occupied by the French. Monastery is certainly beginning to get the tourist heatwave, and indeed new hotels and restaurants are being built, although tourism is very small, and cameras a rarity, and prices very high. And now the main line station at Tunis, possibly quiet in April of 1961, but nevertheless a train which was very much the reverse. These small diesel trains, in 2 carriages only, were packed, and Ian Lindsay and I were thrown near the window and couldn't move at all. We were fortunately only in the train for 3 hours, and here at one stop the train was so full it just had to leave its passengers, although possibly they couldn't even afford to pay the ticket. And here a typical mud village, or mud hut, where the depraved inhabitants live, eat, and die. Going further north still, our journey was to take us to the famous Carthage, just 10 miles south of the capital, Tunis. To see Carthage, one travels to various places and finds the most unexpected treasures, such as these bones. And these fine mosaics, unspoilt, although open to all the elements, and still retaining their natural colors. This is one of the small theatres where the Romans hurled the Christians to the lands which were there, where now grows an olive tree. Out of the lion's den came my guide. View across the Bay of Tunis, and in the background the Atlas Mountains. This is the fashionable place to live, and here there's some very fine villas at Sidi Bou Said. Here in Carthage, the date palms, as well as growing on the sidewalks of Tunis, the capital. Watch the coconut seller, how slick he is with his knife and his wares. Although, would you like to buy coconuts like this? so to want to see one of the largest souks in the world, the Kasbah, call it what you like, or Arab Quarter in Tunis. A maze of passages with an entrance such as that one through that arch, and dark in the dim light. The minaret in the background, and here in the foreground, the shops. A street selling all kinds of wares, but each one denoting a special brand of goods. Here, the cloth and market, and other streets for butchering, groceries, haberdashery, and so on. His working life and his play takes place here. Not forgetting the maternity hospital. Here an Arab lives, works, sleeps, with his sparse furniture, not forgetting his president's photograph hanging behind him on the wall. Notice here how the girls hide themselves from the camera as they pass, just coming into the picture. There we look from the Arab quarter out into the main European quarter. The beggars, or shoe shiners, clamour for your attention and money. When bargaining, and bargaining of course is at a premium, one usually tries to work on a 50% reduction of what they ask you, and then you've about got the right price. There's a lot of trash, there's a lot of beautiful material, as we soon discover. There hang the Kairouan carpets. Of course, being a Yorkshireman, I naturally chose the smallest article. Small tray costing me about 4 bob, after I'd bargained for about 10 minutes. Of course, one thing which was a must were the fez caps, worn so much by the Arabs, and indeed as a tourist attraction to take home. Twice a day the full soak was disinfected. The police very much feared and holding a very strong control over the country. And so we are left with the memories of a rather depraved country, poor but striving hard, possibly successfully under their new president, Bourguiba.